order Stokes County Board of Commissioners budget work session on Monday, June 10th, 2024 at 4:10 p.m. At this time, I ask everyone to stand, and Commissioner Cox will give the invocation.
Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, and we thank you for allowing us to be here today to do this job and to do this work for the people of Stokes County. We ask that you lead, guide, and direct us in every aspect of the meetings today, and we ask you for travel mercies on the way home today, and it's in your name that we ask these things. Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I get a motion for approval of the agenda?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're going to start off with the human resources budget. So, how you want to start, Amber?
Really, the only thing that's changed for HR's budget is I think it's in miscontractual or the professional services one. You'll see an increase for the Paylocity, the HR payroll software that we transitioned to from Jim's recently. That reoccurring fee is now in HR's budget because it is a primarily HR functioning software for all employees to use. And the other main change is that I recommended one full-time position for HR as a HR analyst. Those are really the only two major changes in that department. So if you have any questions about that, unless Jamie wants to add anything.
No, I didn't. I mean, unless you all had any questions, it's the job description. Do they have the job description?
We can provide them copies. I don't think they have them at this point.
Okay, it was like Amber said, an HR analyst that would be able to help Donna and I with everything in the office, mainly benefits. That's been our biggest struggle, was payroll and benefits throughout the year. So, of course, the job description is very lengthy, as everything is in HR, so it would be to help us remain in compliance with OSHA and the Department of Labor as well. Would be able to help us keep up with calls and emails in a timely manner, provide office coverage. We are doing a lot more now than we have in years past. We're trying to be involved with most all department interviews and onboarding. We're now doing time card management, payroll entry, risk management, background check management, and we're trying to provide more quarterly and annual data to the county manager and the Board of Commissioners. So another position would help us tremendously trying to grow our department and the wellness incentive that we're trying to do here in the county as well.
Anybody got any questions, comments?
What is that position going to cost us?
Well, I have it, the way that I presented it to the manager in my budget was on a salary grade 37. So it was starting salary of $43,284. That does not include fringes. So we're looking at that and then another computer, so probably another $2,000 for that.
With fringes, it'll be about $63,000 because of how much the insurances went up and retirements also went up. So it's a little bit more than it would have been last year.
What's that percentage of fringes when you add fringes? Like it's across the board, it's the same for basically, right? Just roughly.
Are you asking if it's the same across the board for all positions? Or?
Yeah, what percentage do you add to the salary when you put the fringes on?
Oh,
About 20%.
I would say at least 20% because you have to factor in all the insurance and then FICA, 401k, and retirement. Which that depends on the amount of the salary. As much that could increase the higher the salary.
So what'd you say salary was?
$43,284.
Then you said it was 60 something for the fringes, right, Amber?
63,000.
Well, on the new scale, we also put it on on the new scale, just in case that was approved as well, and it was 43,000 even on the new scale. So we've made it comparable if, depending on whichever scale is approved. If we keep the current or go to the new one, if that position is approved.
Y'all have any idea, like in similar counties, similar staff, similar number of employees, how many employees they have in HR?
I know.
If you hadn't looked at that, don't worry about it. I'm just curious if you got 500 employees, is 2 like the norm, or is 3 the norm? Or?
Well, it's like you said, this is the number of employees. So the SHRM suggests you have 1 HR employee per 100 employees. I know
Who suggests that?
the Society for Human Resource Management.
Okay.
I know Rockingham has, I think they've got 6 in their office. Surrey, they have 8. So we are on the lower end of number of HR employees in our county. So,
Didn't you say if you put 3 in, it would be 1 per 160 or something the other day? Did y'all say that? Somebody said it, I think.
I had it in my budget message. It would adjust the employee ratio to about 167 employees per position with a third. Right now it's about 250 and 250 for both Donna and Jamie, because we have about 500 estimated part-time and full-time.
Okay.
Just,
Sounds reasonable. Okay.
just a quick, and this is not a direct relationship to government, but I know in the school system, HR has 3. They have HR director and 2 people that works with it. So they have 3 there.
How many employees they got? But it's kind of a different
It is,
relationship
but
though,
it's-
yeah.
They have about 1,000 employees. They have 3.
I know in some of the larger agencies, it's kind of, it's a little bit misgiving when you look at the HR. They may have, just for their HR department, they've got for the city, like they may have 5. But then each department in the city has an HR person that's assigned from that department that does all the payroll stuff, cleans up the payroll accounts, make sure that if, someone's had a traffic accident, that the form is done on time and submitted over, to the main HR. But the body count is counted in the department that it's there. So just like here, if we gave a person on all just the bigger departments like the sheriff's office and solid waste and maybe EMS, and they did all that, did the payroll and made sure the recs were done in a timely manner for working comp and stuff like that. That would help you all a lot.
oh yeah. The last class
But
that
that's
I
not
took,
the case here.
It's
so.
not. The last class that I took at the School of Government, I was in there with HR directors for a county sheriff's department or a county public works. They have their own HR director for the department. So it's a lot to do it all, like you said, to make sure everything's done in a timely manner.
Yeah, it's a lot. Obviously I wanted it last year. It needs it. It's too overwhelming, and to be honest with you, you're going to run people off because nobody wants to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and not even be compensated properly. So I think it's a matter of, and your tentacles run throughout the whole organization. If everything comes, they start with you and it ends with you all. So I just think it's paramount that we give you the resources to do the job that we expect you to do. Any other comments, questions?
I just think, it's a smart thing to do. You just one person for sickness or quitting to having a friggin' mess.
Yeah, I mean, that ratio seems reasonable to me as well, 167 to 1. Get it up to 3. Wouldn't be expecting a fourth one anytime soon, but
Were y'all stressed? You can't even go do training.
No. I mean, we try, but
I know you
it
try,
puts
but
a
you
lot
can't.
on one of us for the other one to be out of the office. I know Donna and myself, we both feel guilty every time we take a day here or there. You know, May has been busy for me because the kids' awards days and graduations and stuff like that. So, and here we are in open enrollment and in the middle of budget and now payroll. So it's been a nightmare, especially the last 2 weeks. And I just feel bad for the employees because when they call or send an email, you want to be able to respond to them within 24 hours, and that's not always the case.
Well, they think you're not doing your job, and that's not the
That's
case.
it. I feel like they think we're not doing our job, but we're doing the best that we can.
that other thing you said was the software, Amber, is that professional services where it went up from 8 to 13.5 for the, is that just like maintaining the new software
I think that was maybe the background check.
on page 103, yeah?
It's billed out monthly, about $5,700 a month, and it equates to the increase in hers. We covered it in our budget because we had it under that money that we set aside to put in our new software. We covered payroll's portion, Paylocity, so it stopped at the end of June.
Yeah.
We just moved it over to her.
It's the miscontractual services.
Okay.
Yeah, is the one that's the 80,000, where last year it was 0.
Let me see that. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was looking at the wrong thing.
Yeah.
What's the increase in the 8 to 13,000 in the professional services?
Most of that is the and Jamie can speak on this, but the background checks that we've started doing, because last year it wasn't a full year of it.
Yeah, last year we just had estimated it for like 6 months, and so now we've upped it for you, and plus our turnover rate, we've been completing more background checks than we thought we would have to.
Oh, okay. Is our turnover rate for the year? Have you got that figured out?
It was, I think it was 8% the last time I looked.
Okay. I thought it'd be higher than that. If we could keep it at that, it wouldn't be bad. That'd be good. It's been 15 to 20 most of the years I've been here.
And the professional services, I forgot to mention, it also has the plaques for the employees that are retiring
Okay.
too, because we started doing that last year too.
Yeah, and we increased that too after we were able to see how many employees were eligible to retire.
Turnover.
Yep.
Yep. I mean, that's it, unless you have any other questions for the HR budget at this point.
I don't.
I just want to make sure, it's the final number here at the bottom is at 336,000 on page 103.
Yes.
336,786, is that what your recommendation is?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cox, you got anything you want to add?
Not for
Questions?
HR, I mean, I think it's all reasonable. Have you problem?
We're gonna talk through this salary stuff separately.
Yeah, that's what we're getting ready to
What's
go
the
to
agenda? I don't
next.
have an agenda.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I have one.
I just got
I can
one.
get it.
Oh, okay.
There's
I just wanna look at it and then you can have it. Human resources, salary recommendations.
Here's the agendas.
So we're good to go to the salary and pay recommendations. Wait,
Do we have a sheet yet that shows the, new, positions that are in this budget?
Yeah, we actually put the finishing touches on that today. I just need to print it, so I figured I could give it to you at the end of this budget work session. And I have all the equipment sheets printed out. I can go ahead and do that if you want. I just didn't know if you wanted to wait until
it
after.
would probably be, yeah, if you could do that, it might help with, as we go through the
Yeah.
salary progressions.
Yeah, well, it's done. We just, again,
Okay.
don't have time to print it, so
Yeah.
I can just go print it and it'll be ready.
Okay.
Along with the other things, the fund balance and the equipment sheet and the tax breakdown.
Okay, that'd be good, yeah.
You want me to go ahead and go into the salary?
Yeah, you can go ahead.
So I just wrote a few notes just to kind of help you, I guess, understand where we're coming from and the chain of events that kind of led up into us putting this into the recommended budget. So initially we looked into looking at our compensation because we weren't in line with our internal structure, and we wanted to ensure that our pay rates remained competitive in the market to retain talent and to address changes in the cost of living, since we hadn't done a true COLA in 5 years. HR and I spend a lot of time trying to make the current pay. We spend a lot of time currently trying to make the current pay scales work for retention purposes and to recruit employees. They're outdated and confusing for a lot of employees, and a restructured pay scale we knew would help HR and admin tremendously and would also be beneficial for county staff for their understanding. So we also knew that inflation since the start of COVID had increased tremendously, and we are one of the few counties that have not responded to the increased inflation beyond our 2% longevity that we get every year. We were aware that the NCACC helped to assist in changes like adjustments to the pay scale, and we started having a series of meetings with one of their representatives, Jonna Sharp, who retired with numerous years of finance and HR, local government experience, specifically Wake County. When we started the process, we looked at comparable counties to us, whether that be geographically based or like-sized. That included counties of Surrey, Rockingham, Davie, Yadkin, Edgecombe, and Caswell. And Forsyth and Guilford were given some consideration just because we do lose a lot of employees to Forsyth and Guilford because of their a geographical location. So we didn't we used them somewhat, but mostly we tried to use the ones we could compete with: Surrey, Rockingham, Davie, Yadkin, Edgecombe, and Caswell. We didn't aim to strive higher than these counties, but to make sure that our scales were comparable and competitive to these. The representative from the NCACC had already improved salary scales at other similar counties like Edgecombe, and so there was a foundation for us to build the new recommended scales on. She worked on an initial scale adjustment for HR and I's consideration, and we knew there'd be a lot of work that we would have to put into them, which we did. After the initial draft of the new salary scales, Jamie and I met with each of the department heads regarding the proposed position scales for each of their respective departments only, to make sure internal structure was properly aligned. During the process, we also looked at structural changes that needed to be made within the departments to best reflect actual duties and responsibilities of positions. There were several titles that were adjusted to best reflect that position and the duties that coincide. Jamie and I met weekly or every other week with the NCACC representative to go through the recommendations for salary adjustments and up until the recommended budget and even up to now. We made changes throughout this time and looked at each position in detail to make sure that they would be aligned correctly. We went through 6 different rounds of drafts to get to the final one that we're going to present today. It's only changed slightly since the recommended budget just due to vacancies and fill-ins of positions. We've had to make a few just small adjustments, which you'll see. So as far as the COLA goes, we did the COLA based off of years of service because the people who have been here the longest have had the most, has been the most negatively impacted by prior practices than the employees that have been here less number of years. So we thought it was only fair to do the COLA that way to try to compensate for that difference. We came up with the percentages with the budget in mind because if we could afford it, we probably would have recommended a larger COLA, but we kept that in mind with how the budget was going to go this year. We knew that we'd have to be it'd have to be comparable to how the budget was going to go. So we did the COLA for employees based off of their years of service and on their current salaries. Then, what we did was if they were still under the minimum of the recommended scales, that they would be moved to the minimum of their new grade. So that, because to implement the new pay scales, all employees would have to be at the minimum of their new grade on the new scale. So the COLA took care of a lot of those employees that would have been moved to the minimum. And then, but there are a few that still, were still below the minimum, the new minimum, even with the COLA. So we had to raise those just because, they, like I said, to implement the new pay scales and to make it work, all employees would have to be at the minimum of that new grade. So we can. So that's
That's
really,
a question, Amber, before you go.
Yeah.
COLAs are everyone I've ever done, it's like an annual, or it could be more than annual, I guess. But it's all based on CPI. It either goes up or down or stays the same. So at every year, based on what it does, you either can adjust it up however much CPI went up, or adjust it down if the CPI went down, or leave it the same. So I'm a little confused about how is that process fit with what you're talking about of doing? What you're saying is to give people will get different amounts of COLA.
based off of years of service. Well, that would ring true for this year if we had been doing COLAs for the past 5 years. But we've been doing a 2% longevity, which I guess
It's like a COLA.
for the past year it's been like a COLA. Before that it was off the minimum. And see, a COLA is always off the current salary, and we've only done that for the past year. So the CPI, what you're talking about, inflation has went up way more than 2% over the past 5 years since since COVID, and we haven't done a COLA in 5 years. So basically,
CPI should have went up to reflect that, right? Inflation.
for this year,
Yeah, for any year.
yes, but we didn't do COLAs to match that CPI. Is what I'm saying. It went up more than 2%, but we only did 2% every year.
Yeah, that COLA was not a real COLA. It was automatic, but it was like a COLA not based on the CPI. It was just based on a fixed percent.
Yeah.
It really wasn't longevity. It was
Right. Yeah.
it was just a cost of living of 2%
Yeah.
per year, whether the CPI went up or down or all around, right?
Right, exactly. But and it hadn't touched what the CPI has done over the past 5 years, which is why it does look a little different. We were originally going to look at a COLA across the board, 1%, but then we realized that it would strongly disadvantage the ones who had been here the longest, especially trying to implement the new pay scales this year as well. Because the new pay scales would really help us recruit and retain some of the newer employees too. But the ones who have been here the longest, the only way that they would really, I guess, benefit from this process is to do the COLA like we did. Because like I said, over the years, they've been the most negatively, I guess, disadvantaged.
I'm not sure I'm on board with all that, but to me, a CPI should be the same percentage for everybody, based on whether CPI went up, down. I mean, a COLA should be.
Well, that's what.
Whether it went up, down, I guess which salary it's on doesn't matter. I mean, it matters, but to give a different, if you're giving a different COLA percentage to different employees, when CPI percentage to different employees, then that doesn't make any sense to me, because CPI, the COLA should be driven by CPI. I mean, the public won't be happy if all of a sudden inflation's flat and the CPI is 0 and we're still giving some percentage of COLA.
Yeah, well, the COLA is just for this year.
Okay.
We haven't done it in the past. We haven't done a true COLA in the past 5 years. So this is kind of to make. It's been way over 5% if we had done true COLAs over the past 5 years. So we're just trying to make up for that.
Okay, I just want to make sure the terminology doesn't get us in trouble.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we checked with the NCACC, and they confirmed that. Counties have done this, and and now it is typical to do 1%, but counties also are making it a practice to do different percentages too, depending on what's needed at the time. So we confirmed with them that it.
Are you talking about it being a one-time thing this year, and then everybody would have the same percentage of other years?
Yes. Yeah, we're just doing the COLA this year like this, like I said, because we haven't done it in the past 5 years. We're trying to somewhat make up for that difference.
It's almost like a form of helping out, alleviating the compression pay.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
we got a lot of older
I'm-
employees here
Yeah, exactly.
that are not making much more, in some cases not making any more money than someone we hired yesterday.
I'm fine with that concept. I just wonder if you ought to call it something besides a COLA.
When we had originally looked looked into this at the very beginning. We looked at doing a percentage, the same thing across the board for everybody. And as we started meeting with department heads, that's where we realized that if we're making salary adjustments to fit, it's going to help for these new employees that haven't been here but 3 years, but it's also going to bring their salary almost level with an employee that's been here 10 years. And so we didn't think that was fair at all. And we realized that as we started meeting with department heads and seeing how this position is the same position, however, this employee's been here 10 or 12 years and this one's only been here 2, there's been nothing to compete with compression over the years. So if we can do a one-time COLA staggered based off of years of service, it would help alleviate some of those issues.
Almost like a longevity COLA.
I think what Commissioner Moore is saying, and I sort of understand what he's getting at is, you know, in the past, I know you were saying 5 years, which is, I'm sure, accurate. I'm not going to try to get back in my mind, but I know we did do cost of living adjustments, and I guess 5 years, if that's where the last one was, we were doing them all the same. You see what I'm saying? And you've adjusted this according to years of service.
Yes.
And I'm just wondering also, I mean, do we want to use the word COLA with like 3% for 0 to 4 years and 20 years plus 5%? All the COLAs that I think we did from 2016 to 19, there were a couple years at least in that time frame. We do COLAs, and everybody gets the same. And I understand totally what you're saying here. You're saying after this year,
Yeah.
go back to the.
Exactly. Yeah.
I understand that.
Because everybody should be.
I just hope everybody understands
Yeah.
the clarification of it. I understand it, but I just want employees to understand it.
Could you, one thing too, kind of along with this, is I think it's related, just explain this charts on page 11 of the budget message. Pay adjustment by job, family, or are you gonna get to that later?
Yeah, I can go over that. So that basically just reflects by doing the COLA and the salary adjustments, like we're talking about. If we implement the new pay scales, this is the different families that I guess will be impacted as far as increase. This is not like I know it says public safety 47%. This isn't saying public safety makes up 47% of the budget, or they're getting 47% of the more of the increase or anything like that. It just means that public safety makes up 47% of the salary adjustment.
Okay.
That they are, I guess, further behind, I guess, compared to where other counties are almost, because we have a lot more of them, and it's gonna cost quite a bit to get, 47% more to get them to where they need to be. Does that make sense?
So it's like a cost to fix the problem,
Yes.
47% of the recommendation.
Yeah,
Recommended increase.
Yeah,
I guess.
47% of that. See the total, the projected total for both of the COLA and the salary adjustment is 772,564. So 47% of that is public safety.
Oh, okay.
Does that make?
Yeah, that
Okay.
does.
I understand.
Okay.
Can I ask you a question, Mr. Chairman? Can I have the floor for just
Sure.
30 seconds?
Yes, sir.
Quick. This probably will come up in general discussion later on, but from the best of my calculations, yesterday when I got home, was your proposal, which we have discussed, and I'm sure we'll discuss quite a bit more before we come up with a final budget by June 30th, which as everybody knows was 6% ad valorem and 2% fire tax, which was 8%. But when I went back and did some calculations, even after that, I came up with a fund balance still in the 12% range And I know all 5 commissioners, when we had that retreat, we all sort of wanted something to get back up around 18 to 20%. I believe was accurate. Correct. But my calculations, which I could be off here, was around 12%. Can somebody tell me if I'm way off?
You're talking about this year, if we went the recommended and used the amount of fund balance? Yes, yeah, it's about 12.5 is what we've estimated.
So we're still going to have to take 4.1 million
Correct, yes, sir.
out of general fund if we went totally by this, correct? 4.1 million.
Yeah.
So we're still looking at a fund balance not getting back up near 20%. Is that an accurate statement?
Yes.
That's all I got.
I'll pass out these if y'all are ready to kind of see what those skills
How
are.
much does, yeah, go ahead, Amber. How much does it take to end the fund balance to, move it a percentage point? Y'all happen to know that, like
500,000.
100.
Yeah, about 500,000.
500,000 moves it 1%?
Yes.
So,
What I'm giving you first, and this is just
Comes down quicker than it goes up.
this is just to give you kind of an insight as to from the NCACC about kind of how they helped us put together the new salary adjustments. It makes a lot more sense and kind of creates a job organization and structure to show you how to move in departments and within the county for similar
you got one more of these?
types of positions. I'm sorry, I thought I gave you 5.
Make sure that I just got one.
Thought I had one. So that's just to kind of explain if we do it the new way, kind of how it gives employees a way to move within their department, a way to move across the organization. Like for example, if someone's experienced in finance, it can link the way we're going to share with employees. It can link their job to other financial types of positions in the county if they're interested in moving down a career path and kind of what that looks like. And it kind of just shows how there's an easier flow, I guess, with this job scale than in years past. From job, family, job, family's career path, titles, and other things. That's just to kind of help understand it a little bit. You don't have anything to say
About the presentation.
Yeah. And now I can go ahead and pass out the skills too, so we can talk about those. Yeah. I'll wait till I sit down.
Oh, I know. Oh, she was giving me
Oh, I'm sorry.
stuff to pass down.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's a lot. It's gonna be a lot.
And one important thing that I forgot to mention while you're looking through the proposed pay scales is that we did several different ones on the recommendation of the Commissioners Association, and this is how a lot of counties are doing it now. You have a general class, which includes finance, HR, tax, admin, most of your general class positions. Then you have a pay scale for DSS and the health department separately because they are state associated departments, so they're unique in their own terms because they have to follow the state salary plan. And then EMS has a separate scale because it's hard to compare them as well. They're unique with their paramedics, EMTs, and their types of positions. And then the sheriff's department and detention and the jail have their own scales again because law enforcement. It's hard to put them on a scale with finance, accountant, or assistant HR director. Or it's hard to compare those, so we put them on their own scales too. And a lot of counties are going to that just because it makes it. For example, if something changed next year where the market went up for law enforcement, and we needed to look at public safety again, and just the jail and the sheriff's office, we could touch that pay scale without touching any of the other ones.
That's a good idea.
So it kind of makes sense.
Same thing with the,
Makes a lot of sense.
DSS and health, like if the state salary plan changes and we have to make adjustments and just one of those are both departments, then,
Which it is supposed to change this year.
right, it's not expected across the board.
I think the good thing too is, and that if we do get an opportunity to hire that other person in HR, is that we're doing it in-house, keeping up with the surrounding salaries. So we're not going 5 years and not reaching out, and then in 5 years, it's, oh my God, you know, the police officers now are making $20,000 more a year to start. At least, you know, we get a year-by-year snapshot and be able to try to take, you know, corrective action on that job group.
I know it's a lot of information, and it probably take you a second to look through the scales, but just let us know if you have any questions. We spent a lot of time on this, so
Explain the job families and subfamilies chart.
let me find that.
Just hand it out.
It is groups.
Yeah.
Okay. It just groups.
It just groups your types of positions together basically, so you can see kind of where you fall, and if you wanted to transition to another job, what kinds of jobs are in your subfamily, so that way you can move between like it, for example, you know, fiscal and business. It says how many. That's of course finance, and tax. And we have a few other jobs that in different departments, like in DSS and health, that deal with that as well. So it just kind of breaks that down even further as far as different category types, I guess. So if you were
Okay.
if you were interested in doing something in fiscal and business, you can see, oh, okay, well there's you know, an X amount of these positions here, and there's, you know, 2 in HR. There's 1 in payroll that I could potentially, I'm interested in and could apply for in the future.
Okay.
There's 4 in tax collections, and I really want to go there. So you know,
If you're at a ground level in another department and you
Yeah.
wanna make more money, that's the way you go that route.
Right.
It's been done forever in the corporate.
And we'll make sure we put together better materials too when we go around and explain this to employees, because we want them to understand and really use it as a tool. I mean, it's going to help them know how to progress in the organization if they're interested in staying here for the long term.
And it helps the individual prepare. Everybody, if you're not good with numbers, you don't want anybody in finance, but they can go to school at night or whatever if they want to get it in finance. Is the way we work it. And everybody's not a manager either. So.
Right.
Okay.
Y'all done a good job.
Thank you. It took many meetings. We wouldn't think it would take that long, but like I said, there's been 6 different drafts at least of us going back and forth and finding different things. Or we realize that, you know, this job is really low for around us, and I mean, and we know that, you know, we're gonna have to look at it at least every 1 to 2 years.
You got to
keep up.
maintain it.
Yeah,
That's the
yes.
important
But I think
thing.
this gives us a really good foundation to start off of, with the scales being separated, you know, from law enforcement, and EMS is separate, and DSS and health. I think it gives us a really good foundation, and I think it makes a lot more sense too, just by looking at it. I mean, it's, you know, GO1 through G14, of course. The only one on G14 is the manager, the county manager. And like I said, you can see that each of the scales is at least 30,000. Because originally, one of the first drafts, it was right below 30,000, but we really wanted to make that our goal for the employees, is to get everybody to at least $15 an hour, which is equates to about $30,000. So each of the scales across the board is at least 30,000.
But the good thing is too is the county didn't pay for a consultant to come in and do this.
Correct. Yes.
We use the available resources from the county you know, Commissioners Association with their knowledge and then y'all's, you know,
Which,
hard work.
which we pay a due for the
Right.
Commissioners Association, but
Right.
it takes care of all the
But
other services.
they do a lot of other
Yes.
stuff. If not, they just don't do this.
Correct, yeah.
I think it's very important to recognize that, you know, that you could have took the easy way out and hired a consultant at $150,000, $200,000 or whatever to come in and give us a plan.
And they're using the same system.
Exactly. And then they just walk away. But I think, you know, by the way you guys built this and worked with Jonna, is that you know how to do this now. You know how to maintain it. But if you don't maintain it, we're going to have problems again. So, like he said, great job. But I don't want the citizens to know too that you didn't take the easy way out. We used resources that we already had, including personnel, to do this. And it's not like you have a big staff, you know, that you can sit behind a desk thinking of the future and somebody else is, you know, punching in the data. And, you know, like I said before, even you have the county manager that is plugging in stuff too. And so I just say, you know, thank you for that, because that's a lot.
I wanted to touch on that too, because as we were getting into this, I know Amber probably feels the same way. There were many days where we were like, "Is this ever?" You know,
Yeah, I mean, I
but
can
we
imagine.
learned a lot, and that's what every time we come out of a meeting, we were talking about something that we learned and how we can use it going
Well,
forward.
like I said, the goal really was to, if we did implement this, was to start with a good foundation going forward that we could could address and maintain. Because I think the salary scale we have currently, it's hard to explain to people, and there's like 4.5% between each of the grades, and it starts at grade 26 and ends at 47. And it's just, I think this is a lot simpler. I think it would help employees understand it too. And I will note that if you're wondering, the GO4H and the GO5H, the only two positions on that is the telecommunicators, because they don't have their own scale, so they are the only hourly full-time employees on that scale. So that's what the GO4H and the GO5H stands for.
Have you discussed the schedule on the updating every 6 months, once a year?
I think
Or don't talk
we're
about it.
thinking at least once a year. I think is what we're thinking of. But you know, even with this, I mean, it's going to take a lot of work to get it in place, to train people on how to use it and things like that too. So.
I just, so from the public safety aspect, I'm just telling you I mean, even with the salaries of the projected pay plan, we are very lucky to be able to staff, because a lot of these salaries aren't even close to what neighboring jurisdictions, Winston, Greensboro. But it's something, and I think that we use, you know, the fact that, you know, we're, you know, a hometown community, we support our public safety, and hopefully that, you know, they stay and help us.
And it's a lot better than what we have now too. So at least it's
Yes,
an improvement. We're heading
yes,
heading the right way.
Yes.
So.
Yes.
And I think you'll find out a lot for the surrounding large county tonight, because they're having their meeting in Forsyth at 6 tonight, the public hearing.
Yeah.
It's at 6 tonight. So I'm sure they'll have
Know it.
a crowd. I know how much education was requesting and different things, and
Yeah.
I'll look for a crowd there.
And I know I mentioned this before, but, you know, I think that we are probably one of the few government organizations, local and state, where our employees don't pay anything for the health coverage. And I'm still good with that. But if it does nothing to help recruit, if it does nothing to help retain, then we've got to look at that. We got to look at, can we take that money and put it towards something else that we're paying and they're not contributing. The second thing that we need to think about, and it'll have to come to a point in time to where when you retire, you go into a separate group. So in other words, for your medical, you go into you go into a separate group, because they put it going to a separate group because it's different premiums. The insurance company, or if you're, doing the self-insurance thing, then it's still, you got to move to another tier with a separate rate. And what I'm getting at is that I don't know of any retirement thing system here in North Carolina that when you retire, you don't pay anything as to help with the premium. So at some point in time, we need to look at the numbers that we have that retire. But you gotta, you gotta break that ice at a certain point in time to, they need to contribute something probably. I mean, everybody else does it, and it's usually, at a higher rate, because the older you get is typically the more you go to the doctor, and then the more with the specialists and stuff. And again, if we can show that if we do that with our retirees, and that makes them come here and stay here 30 years, then I say it's a win-win. But here's how bad it's getting. Most municipalities and a lot of the larger counties, they don't provide health insurance anymore when their employees retire. They're getting out of business because they're saying it costs too much.
Say they don't want to go broke.
Yeah. So, and it goes back to somebody has to be thinking of the future in terms of, we need a lot of people punching in numbers today and what happened yesterday, but we need leadership and people that's got skills, that has time to do projections of what it is costing this county, what's in the next 5 years. So what I was used to is, like, even with this, and it's an excellent pay plan. I mean, you did a lot of thought. It makes sense, but we shouldn't just be looking at this year's budget. So we should have a projection. What's it look like if, let's say, that this budget gets implemented just as you presented it? So what is that going to cost us next year? Because there's reoccurring. In other words, who knows, will the retirement contribution thing go up again, that the state's going to mandate that we have to pay more?
Yes.
Raises.
Usually does.
Raises that, if we give the next year, that goes on top of the base salary. I like the longevity thing. You're paying as a bonus. That helps the employee. The longer they're there, the more money they make. But at the same time, it helps us because it's not on the base. So the longevity pay is separated out. It's not going into your base. So even if it's an hourly employee who's getting a time and a half, it's not based off the longevity is not in their base pay. So we're not paying more in time and a half, and so it's manageable. But we've got to get to the point to where we're just barely trying to get through one budget. And I understand that the limitations that we have, but we've got to, the board has to make that the board has to make that type of decision, because again, we can't have two people doing everything and two people in finance doing everything. So the more information that we can have as a county and given to the board, the more, I guess, the better decisions that we can make. But we just seem to stay focused on this year's budget and try to get it done by July 1. And then we'll go into next year's budget and just we'll be shocked at different numbers and then what our revenue projections are. It just makes it's a smoother thing. But that's something that hopefully the board can come together with and help start maybe next year, to where we come up with a team. And let's not forget this. You know, we have no mission statement for this county. We have no value statement for the county. We have no strategic plan. We tried to have a strategic planning meeting, and we did have a meeting, but then as we started thinking about it, that, well, you know what, we probably need to go over a financial services type meeting, and that's what we did. And then so our first strategic planning meeting will be whenever we can set it after we get this budget done. So there are so many things out there that we're trying to do, and we have no idea as a group what our strategic plan is going to be, what our mission statement is for this county, what's our values in this county. There's just a lot. It's just not doing a budget every year, and it sticks y'all on an island, because we voted at that financial service meeting. We say, hey, we'd like to keep the fund balance. We need to get it back up to 18-20%, and I still agree with that, but it's not practical, not this year, because there's so many other needs that we have. But on the other hand, we don't have a strategic plan. I mean, not even a 2-year strategic plan or a 5-year strategic plan. And I just think that's very important. Y'all do a great job, but we got to get you help is the reason I'm making this speech. That we've got to give y'all resources, and we've got to give you more guidance in looking at our strategic planning and our vision and what our mission is. And then it comes off that. And I think if you go to any county or any type of decent sized municipality, you'll see right there on the website, this is what our strategic plan is, this is what our vision is, this is our values. And sometimes it changes. It's a time change, but anyway, I won't take up any more time, but that's why we've got to do better to help y'all to get to that point where we get more information other than just a year snapshot. I'll shut up now for a while. Anybody else got any comments?
Yeah, I do. I have a bunch of questions. The insurance that Brad's talking about, that retiree insurance, that I'm gonna make sure we're still where I think we are. That's a bridge to age 65, right? So when somebody retires, then we do the retirement insurance to get them to 65, and then we're done with them completely, right? Okay. Would y'all go through these sheets so I know what all of them are? Like this one, first of all, is that the pay scale? Is that what you call the pay scale?
Yes, this is the general pay scale, this one, the general class pay
Okay.
scale. So this is everybody except for Sheriff's Department, Jail, EMS, Health, and DSS, because they have their own scales. So this is
Okay, so this is just bar number 1, general.
this is the general class, yes. So like
Okay.
HR, finance, tax.
Okay, got it. Okay,
Yeah,
got that.
admin.
So that's the
everything.
general, then you've got one of these other sheets.
And this has everybody. This is just all of them together. That way, if you wanted to look at them all together, but it don't have the positions. It just has what the grade is and the range progression. So the range progression The middle column here, and that's how much between each grade there is. So like GO9 and G10, it says 10%. So that's 10% between GO9, G10, 10%
Ten
between
percent
G10.
increase,
Yes, 10%. Yeah, between G10 salary and G11.
11, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, is this, there's 6 bars on this chart, and there's 5 bars on this. So is one of them combined or something?
So let me see.
I think there's just 5 bars, or am I counting it wrong?
And
1, 2, 3, 4, no, there's 6.
Yeah, there's six.
So this,
the only difference is on that chart. I had printed that for, last time. So the only difference is on the one you held up, the DSS. There's an eighth line on that on the new scale, and there's not on that chart in the PowerPoint. And the reason that is just because one of the positions was overlooked, and so we had to add that in. So it created an 8th grade for DSS.
Okay. But these 6 sections
Yes.
go with these 6 sections,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Except for the one missing for DSS.
And so then, so these loose sheets you handed out, then does that
Yeah.
reflect the other 5 bars besides
Yes.
general?
Yeah. Yes. On this one, the two together, the top one's detention. So that's DO1. That's what the D stands for. Is detention. So DO1 through DO5.
Okay.
And then the sheriff's office is below it, SO1 through SO9.
Okay. And
then-
the EMT's the next one?
Yep, EMS is the next one, and it has everybody who works in EMS besides the general. There's 2 of them in general class, which that's the EMS director, because that's the management admin type of position. So they put
Okay.
this normally in the general class, as well as their the administrative aide.
Then the next one's DSS and the last one is Health Department.
Correct.
Okay, got it.
Yes.
I just want to make sure I understood the flow so I can kind of go analyze them later.
Yes.
And,
Well, I'm gonna go back to what Rick just asked, make sure I'm on the first page here.
Yes.
G's, said general administration.
Yes, that's general.
Said
Everybody besides the separate ones. Yeah.
DSS, social services,
Yes, sir.
Department of Social Services. Each
Health.
department,
Yes.
G,
Detention.
then that's gonna float back to the other page that you had, like detention at the top.
Yes. Yeah. It's all
Was
the
it, you had a page where there was 2 blocks, and detention officer, I believe, was at the top.
Yeah, it's all the same. This just has it all on one sheet. If you wanted to look at all the scales on one sheet together without the positions.
The last thing, on the second page, EO1 through EO5, that's,
EMS. Yeah.
just wanted to make sure and that just shifts over to the page at, like this page here. This page where you got 2 blocks, detention officer at the top, and then you got deputy sheriff corporal, that takes care of the sheriff's
Yeah.
department.
Yes, sir.
So if you take this sheet out, then, and I put all the rest of them together, this is the pay scale. the new
Yes.
pay
Yes.
scale.
Yeah.
Got it. How many years, if you happen to know, Jamie, how many years do we usually pay that retirement insurance before they get to 65? Is that usually like, most people retire around 60 and then we pay 5 years, or?
Most cases, yes. We do have a few employees who are eligible to retire now and us pay their health insurance here in the next couple of years, that they'll be on there for 10
More than 5 years.
Yeah.
Typically, like for law enforcement, I mean, you know, we retire, all the stress that we're under running.
Right.
We retire, you know, about that age 52 to 55.
Plus you get a bonus too that others don't get by retiring.
Right, yeah.
I think
So, you know, we're on the,
Yeah, I know.
I think we have 38 on our retirees right now.
They're eligible?
No, 38 retirees on our health insurance right
Oh,
now.
okay.
Point that we currently have.
I'm glad you asked that question. I don't look like the bad guy.
I can figure it out. Let me see. the budget?
Calculated in the budget.
Okay.
Brad made a comment about the bonuses, the longevity being bonuses. I didn't pick up what he meant by that or what y'all meant by it, so tell
It's
me.
paid once a year.
Yeah.
I know what they are, but I mean, are we paying longevity with bonuses now and
No.
Not yet.
Yeah. Right now,
proposed? Are we going to?
yeah, that's the way the recommended is.
Okay.
That's what the common practice is by most counties and like municipality jurisdictions right now is to do a longevity bonus.
At a certain years,
Yes,
Okay.
yes. And normally,
just that it keeps it from being a recurring expense.
yeah. And
COLAs
normally,
are recurring, those things run you out the roof.
Well, if you
On
do
budget.
COLAs.
Why ain't some people lined at the
Can't
door?
afford to do a
wanting
Well,
COLA.
I know, we
Like
never.
we had. Sure, yeah.
Anytime you do one, you've got a recurring
What'd you
expense.
say, Keith? I didn't hear.
Why ain't people lined up at the door filling out applications to get a job here?
I don't think people want to work much anywhere, so.
There you go.
But switching to a bonus-based longevity would put us more in line of how the rest of the counties across the state do it, and it would make life a lot easier for HR and payroll. Because right now, doing longevities once a month, we have around 30 to 40 employees who receive longevities every month. So that's 30 to 40 employees we have to go in and touch us and then payroll each month. So doing it once a year would alleviate.
Yeah,
that.
that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
My next question though then, so after this year, we got like a unique situation this year that we're not gonna do next year. We're gonna shift into normal COLAs next year, y'all said, right? Just based on CPI
Correct.
and whatever somebody's salary is, right? So what if we wanna give a bonus instead of a COLA next year?
Still can.
Is there anything wrong with that? So we can always choose, cause when you're in a tight year, sometimes you have to do a bonus instead of a COLA.
Well, that's one thing I
Just
did.
wanna make sure we're not locking something in where we don't have flexibility.
Right, that's one thing that I think Amber and I did want to clear up when she gave the original budget message. I think some folks didn't listen to the entire plan, and the plan would be to, if we're going to move to a bonus-based longevity program for employees with 5+ years, that we would still look at doing some type of pay increase each year. We're not doing away with everybody's only pay increase they get every year, is the way we were looking at it.
like for example, like in order to, if we switch to the longevity bonuses, I'm not saying we're going to change them every year, but we need to at least look at our scales every year and consider a COLA every year because if to make it.
Yeah, we definitely
Yeah.
consider it every year.
Yeah, because I think in years past it hadn't always been done that way. So I think a lot of people are nervous that they've always been getting the 2%, and now it might be a little lower depending on how your years of service are. But it's because it hadn't been a true longevity in the past. Because it hadn't. You don't benefit anymore if you're here 25 years versus 2 years right
More
now.
like a
It's all
COLA.
2%.
More like a COLA instead of a longevity.
Right. Yeah. So we're just trying to make it more of a longevity program.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you a
I
question.
understand.
I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't
I'm
mean to
done.
interrupt. You finished. So, as I went through, this weekend, I'm wondering, exactly, it's been brought up in some of our meetings about how we have had to get our budget approved by taking certain amounts of money. We were able to say, unless it was a property tax situation, we were able to say we didn't raise taxes. However, if property tax came into play, that was a tax increase, really. But let's say we didn't have a tax increase of any sort, property or whatever, and we were able to maintain our fund balance at a certain level. However, this year with your proposal, 6 plus 2%, which is 8, we're still coming out with our fund balance around 12%.
Yes.
According to my calculations. So how is that coming about?
I understand the question. I mean, you're talking about even increasing at 6 since how are we where we are?
So let's say last year, we didn't increase it.
Yeah.
And our fund balance, from what I gathered last year, unless Lisa or somebody can get me wrong, was in the 13.
In the audit,
This
it was
is what-
20,
what-
it was
audit
at
was
20%.
In the audit, the fund balance was 20%.
And we didn't raise taxes, did we?
Well, we took from the fund balance.
And we're taking from the fund balance
That's
this
right.
year, aren't we?
Yeah, yeah. Not as much, but yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I know.
4.1 million, correct?
Right.
Okay, explain that.
Well, the 2 cent is directly for the courthouse renovation and expansion, the
Yeah,
debt
I
service.
got all that.
So that's 2 cent of it. We can't not do that unless, something that we get
About 900,000 is what we're projecting.
right now, but the bids are gonna come in, soon on the 12th, so we should know. And we can save a little, just depending, like I said, when the bids come in.
Keith's right.
Yeah, Keith's right. We've had a lot of big things that we're needing to finance this year. The solid waste truck, an ambulance, and a supervisor vehicle for that, which is still almost $200,000 for the supervisor vehicle. So we're having to budget for debt service on that. A lot of we need to replace computers like we normally do, which we're doing that. The salary study, which is almost 800,000, which is,
I'm with you all the way so far.
yeah. I mean, plus just, I think people forget, it's just things have went up so much over the course
Oh,
of,
the word inflation?
yeah.
Okay. So you get the question I'm asking though.
Yeah, what's the difference this year?
Yeah,
Is that what you're saying?
we got it. Last year we didn't raise taxes.
Correct.
This
And
year
cut
we
a
got
lot.
8%, 8 cents.
Well, and I know it is an ad valorem on
6
some.
cents
Yes,
and 2
yeah,
cents.
because the other fire tax does not go into our general
Right.
at all. Yeah, I just want to make that clear.
I
It's not
understand
part of
that.
the fund, the general fund balance.
Yes, ma'am, I got you.
Okay.
All the way, I got you all the way.
Yeah. I don't think a lot, but those are the main differences. I can go through it,
No,
and pick out every.
hey, I've read this thing.
Our health insurance went up
yeah,
quite a bit.
health insurance went
Read
up.
it really well.
Went up
Retirement
quite a bit.
match went up.
Is the animal shelter involved in this or not?
Yeah, the animal shelter's budgeted as a capital project to be financed as well. We're looking at seeing if we can get some grants and other things to mitigate that. But right now, we did budget it to come from financing. But of course, the courthouse has to be a priority over the animal shelter because of the mandate for that. So
Who decided the dollar amount at the state level? Where did the $2 million come from?
for the courthouse,
Yes.
Came straight
Yeah, from the
out of the
state.
state.
Just
Well,
legislation did
since
it.
when was that?
I don't think it was to cover it. I think it was just to help.
Hell,
Was it 2 or 3 years ago?
Yeah.
I'm guessing 3.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say 3 years ago. I don't know.
I'll put it in.
Can we ask pretty please that stuff has went up and give another $2 million?
I guess you can ask.
Legislative day.
Yeah, we'll be in a position.
We'll bring that up tomorrow.
Find out.
Yeah, no, I understand.
After how many
Anyway,
breaks
I'm
he
trying
has.
to gather
Yeah, and we
how we, last year,
No, I know
no
what you're
tax raise, this year, 6 cents. And I know, I've read this baby. And I know everything he was throwing out there, all the projects, capital, whatever. But the fund balance in the end is what I was getting at, because just sitting here, you said 20% last year, but I'm saying we're adding tax increase according to this proposal, due to certain things you've listed. But yeah, our fund balance is probably down to 12%.
12 and a half, yeah, projected.
Based on spending all of everything that was appropriated out of fund balance in this current budget, or is there going to be any returns back?
Lisa's currently working on that big budget amendment that pulls from all the departments, all the extra, and there is going to be some from what you've seen so far. I know you haven't completely finished it. We're going to put it on the next commissioners meeting, the last one in
Right.
June. So I know that's, if we get it done before, we'll let you know. We're working as hard as we can to do it, but there should be some definitely going back into the fund balance, but we can't. The official audit is 20.5.
And what Commissioner Cox asked for early in the meeting, which was equipment and new positions and all that, you've got that, you just need to print it, is that right?
And I printed all of them but the position ones. I just ran out of time, frankly, quite frankly. But I do have the other ones.
But before we leave tonight, you think
Yeah.
that we could have a copy of that?
Yes, yeah.
Any idea what that amount's gonna be on the big budget amendment? Or is it too early to tell?
Lisa, you've been doing it. Do you have any idea?
Been pulled off getting audit stuff together. So I will make that my priority, cause.
Yeah, we kinda need to see that before the 17th.
That's exactly what I was asking for.
Yeah,
Cause that could
yeah,
factor into our final decision on some stuff.
right. Yeah, the auditors are coming next week too, so I know they've been preparing for that. But she's been working on it. We'll work on it. Get it done.
See, I know, I've been in this 8 years, man. I know this is, y'all are swamped right now. I know that. But we've got this task before us that we've said June 17th. And we don't even know yet if the education group is going to come up here on the 17th, which would take a couple extra hours. But our county manager is going to find that out.
Yeah, I will call.
Did anybody get the answer to the question about the 38 people that are being currently, where we're paying their insurance that are already retired?
The budget is on page 106,
Okay.
$367,990.
I knew it had to be a huge number.
Page 106, $367,992.
We break it out into a separate group, or you just keep, okay,
It's
okay.
broken down as retiree insurance.
Yeah.
Wow. 106. I forget.
I like the pay scale thing you did. I think y'all really did a good job on that.
We're excited about it because it'll make like Jamie said, it'll make our lives a whole lot easier too, because we can actually explain what the pay scale is and how it works. So, and me and Jamie are also working on putting a new policy, hopefully together to go along with this, a more updated one to go along with the pay scales to reflect it. And if we bring somebody in, what's the procedures and things like that? Because I know that's been one of the bigger questions in the past. So we figured we would have that done. Hopefully by the next meeting.
I'm gonna go ahead and pass out what you've got so far. And you can print the other. Might give us something else to read. We don't have enough to study over.
There should be 5 each one.
Just one thing in each staple, right? Staple's got.
Yeah, each paper.
I got a question. When they moved the Board of Elections out of their building to their new building, is that gonna be enough room for probation to move out of that building on the hill into that building, or no, you think? Think they'll move prior to the renovation of the courthouse?
Yeah, we're hoping. They've said that they can make it work. So we're, yeah, as fast as we can, we're shooting for that, so.
Are you looking to, repurpose that building on the hill for DSS? More space or what?
Yeah, we're exploring it.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know that they need it, even though they've moved one of their
Probably need
units.
a raffle for other people.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's true. Draw
But the
straws.
old communications building, old communications.
yeah, what probation's now using that trailer. Yeah, that's our hope. And they've said that they can make it work if we did it before the courthouse renovation, which that's what we're trying to do.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering about.
Yeah.
Just have to go through this before the next meeting.
If I'm looking at this one fund balance appropriation sheet correctly, in 22-23, we used a $4.1 million fund balance appropriation, but based on the audit, we were able to appropriate back 3.59.
That's correct.
Right,
Yeah, correct.
that was 22-23. And we're currently in the 23-24 year.
Yeah, and the auditors, like I said, are coming next year to work on that
So
audit, the 23,
should we be so lucky this year?
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, most every one of these I've done, we put a lot of it back every year, back before I got into most recent here, but appropriated a lot, but we usually didn't spend much of it at all.
So what
gotta
was
balance
in the
the budget.
red was not.
what they put back in, what they had to put back, right, to about.
Right, they couldn't put that back as it increased the fund balance, we had to actually use it.
Had to use more.
What now?
So tell us again what the red in the red means.
Why did they have to use it?
And for that would be for the
Because it took it in that budget year,
18,
you had to use
19.
that fund
Okay,
balance.
all
So
right.
in 18, 19, and 19, 20, what was in the red? Tell me again what that means.
So like, I guess for like 2018, 2019, it was appropriate, just to make sure, Lisa, fund balance appropriation was 2.96 million about, but we had to use 1.95 million.
That was enough.
That don't make sense. Because that doesn't follow what the other, I thought that what was in the black was what was appropriated back.
Yes, what was moved back to,
Like 18, maybe we had to use above and beyond.
That's what I'm thinking that means. That's what that's gotta mean.
Yeah,
because
it
means
means
above
you
and
use
beyond.
more than
Yeah.
appropriated.
That's what that means.
Worse.
2019, 20 is really bad.
That's when the percentage went, it really fell.
What the causes for that were. Have to
Because
go research it.
how I
Let's
look
move
at
forward,
this
let's don't go backwards.
is that,
We got
so
finances
nothing was
for tomorrow.
obviously nothing was appropriated back, and 2.3 and 1.9 respectively were in addition were used. You think that's what that means? More than likely.
So I can go back and look in the audits for those years.
Yeah, it would be interesting to know for sure what that means, because all the other ones have like, oh, it wasn't all used and this is what we were able to appropriate back. Those 2 years they were in the red. I'm wondering if that wasn't additional fund balance. It looks like 1920, the fund balance went to 11.8.
That's what the chart says, that we spent more than we appropriated
That's what I'm thinking that means.
those 2 years. There's some reason that
No.
happened though.
And that wouldn't that be, was that around the years, that was before the American Rescue Dollars and all that? I guess I know 1819 was for sure, but
1920 would have been as well.
yeah,
I
it
think
would have been
ARPA didn't come
prior.
till
21.
21, yeah, 22, yeah,
That's what I'm
2021,
thinking.
21, 22.
Maybe that has helped us some the last few years.
Yeah,
No doubt.
it definitely has, and that's why our fund balance is 20.5 because it's catching up from the ARPA money, helping us with some of those expenditures that we've needed to take
Was
care of.
it, sorry Amber, that you guys implemented the split with the schools? You know,
That was
that also at that point you was doing half and half. You didn't have as many general dollars.
oh,
Is
that's,
that also
that was
sometime in that
2018.
time frame?
that was 2018, I believe.
There's some event or something that triggered all that, or a series of events, and COVID could have had something to do with it.
That salary study.
But it's,
You also
yeah.
implemented several jobs at animal shelter in that 1 year, or year for the last 2 years.
Yeah, but that wasn't during those
Not
times.
during those years,
Yeah.
but,
Started 17, 18 trending down, and then it went out the bottom, 19 and 20, and then it started back up,
It was like the first year.
20, 21. So,
Being implemented, I think.
That would have been 21.
fund balances are all estimates all the time anyway, to get an audit, so like, it's not an exact science. What's that acronym, OSBM grant?
Office of State Budget Management. It's the state.
What,
The state office of
state budget management
the
office?
state office of budget management. It's what a lot of the grants here lately that we have been coming through.
Some other area, let me just mention a couple other areas I wrote down before we quit. Yep. We're still gonna talk about a possible reorganization of the clerk, assistant county manager, and county manager, right? We're gonna do something with that during this process.
Yes.
You clear on what you need?
Well, it's on the, and I put it on, we put it on the personnel sheet that we did.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yes, with an estimated, I guess a projected salary for what we're recommending. I mean, it's up to the board what.
You're gonna give us that, that's on that sheet you're gonna give us before we leave?
Yes,
Okay.
yeah, just,
That's all I need to know. We're gonna do something about looking at green box workers' salaries too, right?
Yeah, we were gonna look at all part-time salaries, and Jamie and I actually started that process. We haven't finished it because we have, I mean, a lot of part-time workers, and they're all at different part-time rates. And some are a lot different than others, so we're trying to, figure out the best practice for looking at those, which we've talked to the NCACC some about making it a part of, and one thing I didn't want to mention is the NCACC kind of, not that we have to do it, they're saying, but it may help with, instead of also just doing a budget ordinance like we normally do, which of course is required, and we've always done a budget ordinance, is to also do a personnel ordinance. A lot of counties are doing that now, where you do a personnel ordinance in addition to that lines out what your pay scales are for each department, what your part-time rates are, and your pay plan with longevity and things like that.
That'd be nice.
So it's kind of like you just approve that when you approve your budget ordinance, basically. But you talk about during the budget process anyways. This just kind of hit more clearly.
Problem is you gotta do both of those right after we approve the budget before June 30th, right?
Correct. Yeah. Correct.
Just wanted to know I was sensitive to your issues.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
How about that day, June 30th? It's not a good day.
No, yeah, and our goal is to have the budget ordinance on the June 24th meeting,
Okay.
which is the last meeting in
I
June.
always have it on my birthday, June 21st.
Well,
You can do the personnel one then too, or do it, if we're gonna approve
that's
it.
the goal. Yeah, which we have we have examples to work off of, so we're not recreating the wheel.
Okay,
We're still gonna have to, we'll still have to finalize. We'll have to know, I guess, the board's direction. Because if we're gonna do the personnel ordinance, it has to have what the
it has to match,
what the board's recommendations are. So,
okay.
but we don't have to do that this year. But we thought it might be a good idea since we are doing a new
With
salary
all these
scale to
other
start doing that.
changes, it would be a good idea, I think.
Yeah.
And if y'all did the part-time, like the green box and all the rest of it, then you would have addressed all pay issues across the whole county, right? There wouldn't be anything not untouched.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I recommend that if you guys got time to do it all.
Yeah, I think we should be able to make it work. Yeah.
Who needs sleep?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm yawning, it must be me.
For now, not at this rate.
I don't think I have anything else today unless y'all do for, I just wanna go study all this stuff and get the personnel sheet.
Yeah. Yeah. And like I said, I just need to print it.
When do we meet again on the budget?
The 17th.
Thursday, right? Thursday? Do we
The
meet?
17th, Monday,
It'll be the 17th, which is next Monday.
2 o'clock.
Finish it up day, right?
Until,
Yeah.
that's what we said.
Okay.
We invited the Board of Education. That's the one
Yeah.
we invited them to come to.
You said
But if we had to,
until,
we have to recess that meeting.
knock it out.
We gotta do it.
Yeah, if we have to, we could recess that meeting until the next day or something, but if we can't get it done on the 17th.
We've done that several times.
Yeah.
Estimated taxes are due that day too.
Any more? Any questions, comments? Not all.
And we're gonna talk about the school budget on the 17th too. That's gonna be a big topic that day, right?
It's gonna be a
Yeah.
long day.
Got it.
Entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion with adjourn.
Second.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.